30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. has been arrested for planting pipe bombs outside of the RNC and the DNC on January 5th, 2021, just one day before the now infamous January 6th. And I have so many questions here. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about an arrest finally being made in the pipe bomb planting incident that happened on January 5th, 2021, just one day before the now infamous January 6th. His name is Brian Cole Jr., 30 years old, from Woodbridge, Virginia, which is about 20 miles or so from Washington, D.C. Now, there's a ton of questions here, but the first things first. Why did this take so long? It's almost been 5 years. Next month is January. That'll mark 5 years. Why has this taken so long, especially since this case has gotten so much scrutiny? It has been in the mainstream media every day for the past 5 years. There's been books, there's documentaries, there's been all kind of exposés. There's all kind of guys locked up. There's all kind of guys' lives turned upside down who didn't even do anything wrong, who weren't even there on January 6th. I got people accusing me of being involved when I was nowhere near DC at all on January 6th. So this has been a really big story. Why are we just now finding a suspect? I don't really know, but maybe we'll be able to figure that out as we get more information. Now, you see the guy's picture right here. That is him, Brian Cole Jr. He looks like you, ABL. Okay, haha, very, very funny. But I don't know this guy. He is from Virginia, but he's from Woodbridge. That's on my neck of the woods. I'm from the southern part, like Virginia Beach, Norfolk. Woodbridge is like basically Washington, D.C. And speaking about Woodbridge, this is his home. I'm going to just keep the volume off right here. But this is when all the Alphabet boys came and raided his house. Beautiful home. I'm sure it's his parents' house. I'm sure he doesn't just own that himself, because what do you do for a living to own that kind of house when you're 30 years old and you out there trying to plant pipe bombs, allegedly? I'm sure his parents live there and he lives there with him. Now, this is Jake Tapper. Jake, before Brian Cole's picture came out, Jake Tapper decided to characterize him by his race, and he was 1,000% wrong. Let's watch this, shall we?
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from...
Now, does Brian Cole Jr. appear to be a 30-year-old white man to you? I mean, in what universe is this man a white man? Jake Tapper, see, look, this is why we say that CNN sucks, because y'all do stuff like that all the time. All the time. Just straight up wrong. And the thing about it is, if you don't know someone's race, because clearly you didn't know, because you're wrong. But if you don't know someone's race, just keep quiet. When this story broke yesterday, I waited until I did the video. I'm like, okay, we got his name, we got where he lives, we have what he did allegedly, but where's the picture? That's pretty important. So I was like, okay, let me wait. And of course, we got a picture, and now we can report accurately, unlike what Jake Tapper did right here. All right, let's keep going. Now, Kash Patel says that there was a deliberate attempt to keep this suppressed. I don't know why. Is anybody trying to protect this guy? Is his dad a government employee? Like, what's really happening here? I think we're going to get a lot more info as days and weeks progress. How does he live in this beautiful home in Woodbridge, Virginia? It's got to be in the millions of dollars. How does he live there? What does his dad do for a living? What does his mom do for a living? That's going to be very important information to release. But let's check this out from Kash Patel.
They deliberately did not want to solve this. I mean, this was challenging, but it was solvable, right?
In my opinion, the prior administration either was completely incompetent or intentional in their weaponization of justice and law enforcement. And we know they have a track record of the latter with Arctic Frost and Russiagate and so many else. So I put this in that folder. What we did was we rejected and are in the process of destroying and leveling the weaponization of justice and law enforcement and delivering results for the American people like they deliberately.
All right, there we go. So that's the opinion on that. That's his mugshot from when he got arrested. So looks a little bit different than the other picture I showed you, but still, In the mugshot and in the other picture, there's no white man to be seen. Okay. Now, this is going to be a thing they talk about a lot. They say that he believed that the election was stolen. So what they want to try to do from the mainstream media, in my opinion, is say, well, the reason why he planted pipe bombs, allegedly, is because he was motivated by Donald Trump. If you were motivated by Donald Trump, if you thought that it was stolen and you wanted to support Trump, then why would you plant pipe bombs outside of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? Why would you attack both parties like that? Clearly, something's not right with this guy, allegedly. Now, let's get to a video from New York Post showing some of the planting of the pipe bombs, the moving around, and a few more things. And of course, I will link to this video and everything else in the description. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Nearly 5 years after pipe bombs were planted outside the Republican and Democratic national committees ahead of the January 6th Capitol riot, the FBI has finally arrested a suspect, closing an embarrassing chapter for the federal agency. Sources confirm with the Post that Brian Cole of Virginia was arrested Thursday morning and has been accused of planting the bombs, which came within feet of Vice President Kamala Harris and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. They traveled to and from the DNC headquarters on South Capitol Street on January 6. Helicopter footage captured by Fox shows FBI officials storming Cole's Woodbridge, Virginia home. Sources told the Post that investigators were looking into his possible connection with some form of, quote, anarchist writings or leanings, though specifics were not immediately known. One neighbor said the 30-year-old, who lives in the suburban cul-de-sac, was antisocial, shunned interaction, and doted on a pet chihuahua. Charges in the case have yet to be made public.
That appears to be a pattern. It'd be guys that's quiet, unassuming. You never know what they got going on. They could be just a regular normie, minding their business, not causing problems, or they could be someone who would plant pipe bombs outside of the RNC and the DNC.
Surveillance footage of the night of January 5th, 2021 showed a person planting what investigators called, quote, viable explosive devices at the headquarters of the two major parties. The footage showed the suspect carrying a backpack and wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, mask, gloves, glasses, and a pair of Nike Air Max Speed Turf sneakers. The dangerous devices were discovered approximately 17 hours later, around the same time Congress convened to count the 2020 electoral votes, a session which was suspended for several hours after supporters of President Trump broke into the Capitol and stormed the House and Senate chambers. An explosive device with a timer and wires was also found near the Republican National Committee office on the same day. The FBI has long been castigated by lawmakers for the lack of progress in identifying a perpetrator. A report released in January of this year by Republican reps Barry Loudermilk and Thomas Massey assessed that, quote, little meaningful progress had been made in the pipe bomb investigation, and charged that the feds had, quote, refused to provide substantive updates to Congress. The lawmakers' report added that despite the investigation having promising data and several persons of interest, the FBI began diverting resources away from the pipe bomb investigation by the end of February 2021. The absence of a break in the case, or even clarification on whether the suspect was a man or woman, led to fervent speculation, mainly among conservatives and even some Republican lawmakers, that the failed bombing was the work of a far-left terrorist whose actions would cause embarrassment to a Biden administration, whose Justice Department was pursuing charges against hundreds of January 6 rioters.
Now, that could be a thing, the whole far-left situation, but of course, like I said, that news story from earlier talking about he was motivated by the election being stolen, that was his opinion. They're going to try to say, well, he's not a left-wing person because he was believing what Donald Trump said. But if he was a conservative guy or a Trump supporter, then why would you try to bomb the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic headquarters? Why would you try to bomb both of those? It doesn't make much sense at all. I think that they are trying to protect him, in my opinion. Someone was trying to protect him because his dad might be in the government, maybe his mom. Because the thing about Northern Virginia, the DC area in general, it's all government jobs. And the more money you have, oftentimes the deeper you are into it. So there could be a imperative to protect him for that particular reason, because you got family that's deep in the government. That's just my humble opinion. But again, we'll see more as time progresses.
Dan Bongino, who is now the FBI's deputy director, has even added to that speculation over the years on his popular podcast.
I told you when Donald Trump won, did I not? Go back and find the videos yourself, that there are going to be people in the FBI who are trying to protect their jobs. And they're going to start releasing information now about the bomber, which was an inside job, no question in my mind. It was clearly some Democrat operative.
Dan, I like you, Dan, but what are you going to say now? Because it's one thing to be a podcaster, but once you're in the belly of the beast and things get a little bit real and you can't say certain things, what will your opinion be at that particular point in time?
Trying to stop Republicans from questioning the January 6, 2020 election.
After arriving at the Bureau in March, Bongino made the case a top priority, writing on X last month, "We brought in new personnel to take a look at the case. We flew in police officers and detectives working as TFOs, task force officers, to review FBI work. We conducted multiple internal reviews, held countless in-person and SVTC meetings with investigative team members. We dramatically increased investigative resources, and we increased the public award for information in the case."
Well, there we go. So Dan Bongino followed through on what he was talking about on the podcast and got some more resources toward the situation. Him and Cash Patel and everybody at the FBI went ahead and solved it. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to them for being able to make an arrest. And again, it's not been convicted yet, so maybe the case ain't all the way solved. But shout out to them for making an arrest. I like to know how they actually broke it. I don't think they're going to reveal their tactics to me, but I love to know how they were able to break the case because, I mean, you have video, you got him doing things, but his face is covered. There's no identifiable markings, what I'm able to see. But I'm sure they got something because they were able to find a suspect. And I wonder what they found in the home. That's what I want to know because, you raid in the home. What did you find in there? Did you find anything of, significance and of importance? Were you able to search his internet, able to scan his phone? What did you find from what you were looking for? That'd be my question. But I'm glad there's been some kind of progress on this because it had been going on for a very long time, many, many years. And at a certain point, you got to just think, okay, within the first year of the new guys being in there, they're able to make an arrest. But the entire time of Joe Biden talking about how bad this was and how it was the worst day in history, worse than 9/11, worse than the slave trade, you would think they would be able to dedicate some resources finding out this particular part of the story. But obviously they didn't, and I wonder why. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about the pipe bomb arrest? Are you buying it? Do you think it's really him? Do you think it's not him? Did they just find somebody to arrest to put this to bed? Or is it a legitimate arrest? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys may or may not know where I'm at. I'm glad that there is some attention given to the case and it's not just thrown under the rug because you got so many guys who have been to prison having a life turned upside down because they may have been involved with going to the Capitol, not even going inside the building. People that were just outside talking got hemmed up, arrested, thrown in jail, and everything else. So if we're going to have that standard for them, why not for everybody else who may have been involved with this particular situation? See, to me, it just makes sense. I don't know about y'all, but whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.